Mira sat by the window again. Same corner, same chipped paint. Same crack in the glass, the one that curved like a river cutting through silence. She watched the buses go by. The red one always came first, then the green. No one ever waved. She never waved either. Inside the classroom, students moved in waves of sound. Laughter, coughs, the buzz of someone's phone vibrating on a desk. Mira stayed quiet, her notebook open but untouched. At lunch, a girl named Trina tossed her juice carton too hard and it splashed. No one said sorry. No one looked twice. That afternoon, a white sheet of paper was taped to the bulletin board outside the cafeteria. Big black letters at the top. Spring Talent Show, audition sign-up. Beneath it, a few names had already been scribbled in crooked columns. TikTok dances, pop duets. One kid promised magic tricks with coins and cards. Mira stood there, unnoticed. She read every name, some twice. Then she pulled a pencil from her sleeve and wrote in small, careful print, Mira, song. She didn't add a title, didn't explain. Then she stepped back and walked away. Behind her, someone snickered. Mira. What's she gonna do, sing about mop buckets? Laughter, quick and sharp, she didn't turn. Just pulled her sleeves down and kept walking, clutching the little brown notebook she always carried. Inside it were 3 things. Lyrics her mother once sang while folding clothes. A recipe for ginger broth written in slanted print. A faded drawing of a woman in a plastic chair, head tilted, asleep. That evening, the apartment smelled of bleach and boiled rice. Mira's mother lay on the sofa, her eyes half closed. A damp towel covered her forehead. "You're home," Mira said. "Yeah," her mother murmured. "Didn't feel great today." "You didn't eat lunch?" "Didn't have the stomach." Mira filled a glass with water, squeezed half a lemon. In it, handed it over. Her mother sipped, slow and careful. "How was school?" Mira hesitated. "I signed up. For the audition." Her mother opened her eyes. "For the talent show. Yeah, I'm gonna sing that song." The woman blinked. "The one from when you were small?" Mira nodded. "I haven't sung that in years. I remember the words." Her mother tried to sit up straighter, but winced and stayed put. "It's not a contest, right?" "No, just a performance." "Will they laugh at you?" "Probably." Silence. "Do it anyway," her mother said. "Sing like I used to when we didn't have heat and the roof leaked." "I will." Her mother looked toward the cracked ceiling. "You know, I always thought your voice was stronger than mine." "It's not. It is." Another pause. Then, "You don't have to be loud, Mira. Just be clear." Mira sat down, at the edge of the sofa, not touching her mother's feet but close enough to feel their warmth. The window in their living room rattled from the wind. Outside, someone shouted, dogs barked, car alarms blinked in the night. She didn't hum. She didn't rehearse. She just listened. Tomorrow was only the tryout. She didn't expect anyone to clap. She just hoped someone might hear. The laundry room was warmer than the rest of the apartment. Steam clung to the ceiling. The machine thumped in a slow, heavy rhythm, like an old heart. Mira sat cross-legged on the tile floor, notebook open in front of her. The light above flickered, then stayed steady. She didn't look up. She sang, soft, quiet, half-formed. When the wind was high, she'd close the window tight. She stopped. Tried again. Her voice was thin. It didn't stretch far, didn't echo, but it stayed steady. She imagined the words folding into the air, settling between detergent bottles and mop handles. She didn't sing to impress. She sang to remember. The song was one her mother used to hum when Mira had fevers. A lullaby from some place they never talked about. The words weren't in any book, and Mira had only learned them because she heard them so many times. When the power went out, when the rent was overdue, when dinner was only rice, she'd hum a tune and turn off the light. She sang it again, this time slower. Her fingers trembled a bit as she flipped the notebook page, even though the lyrics were already memorized. Outside the laundry room, someone knocked a mop bucket over. Mira flinched, then kept singing. In the kitchen, her mother sat at the table, folding napkins into uneven squares. Her face looked pale under the hanging bulb. The bones around her collar seemed sharper now. She didn't speak much that night. Mira noticed her hands shook more than usual. Later, in their shared bedroom, Mira opened the box under the bed. Inside were ribbons, faded pinks, fraying blues, old recital bows that weren't hers. Her mother had kept them, tucked between utility, bills and photos with corners curled. Mira picked one, gray with silver thread, and tied it loosely in her hair. She stood in front of the cracked mirror and sang again. Not louder. Not stronger. Just clearer. At school, the next day, rehearsals buzzed through every hallway. The gym was booked. Classrooms became makeshift stages. A boy practiced breakdancing beside the vending machines. Two girls lip-synced to a pop song, using pencils as microphones. Mira didn't rehearse there. During lunch, she slipped into the custodian's closet. It smelled like bleach and wet cloth. A plastic curtain divided the room in two, supplies on one side, emptiness on the other. She sat behind the curtain and sang. Her voice hit the plastic, muffled. It came back to her changed, like an echo through fog. But she didn't stop. She sang to no one behind the smell of ammonia, behind broom handles and metal shelves. At one point she heard footsteps, a girl's voice. "Is someone in there?" Mira didn't answer. She held her breath. The footsteps faded. That night at dinner, Mira's mother coughed for a long time. When it passed, she smiled and pushed her bowl forward. "Too salty," she said. "I must be losing my taste." "You've had that cough for a while. I'm fine. You're not." Mira didn't push, just got up and rinsed her bowl. In the bathroom, the mirror fogged. Mira wiped it clean, stared at her own reflection. She didn't look like a singer. She looked like someone who folded chairs after the show, but still she sang, in a whisper, because she knew somewhere deep inside the quiet, the song still lived. The sign-up sheet had a new row of names. They curled along the page like vines. Some in thick marker, others fading in pencil. Someone had drawn a heart next to theirs. Mira's name was still at the bottom. No heart, just her name, in plain print. She came by during break to look, not to check for changes, just to see if it still mattered. A boy leaned against the board. He read names aloud like it was funny. Tyler's dancing, Kayla's singing Taylor Swift. Then he paused. "Mira, who's that?" Someone behind him whispered, "Oh, you know, that quiet girl from Class 2B, the one who smells like bleach." They laughed. Mira walked away before they could turn. She passed the vending machine without stopping. Didn't have money anyway. Sat on the bench near the stairwell where no one came during lunch. She pulled her notebook out, flipped past the lyrics, and just held it. It was warm from being in her bag all morning. That evening, her mother was sitting up in bed sorting bills. Her hands moved slower now. There was a crease between her eyes. Mira didn't remember seeing before. "Is your name on the list?" her mother asked. Mira nodded. "Anyone say anything?" "A few things." "Mean?" "Doesn't matter." Her mother folded one bill, then another. "I was your age when I first sang on a stage. It was at church. I forgot the words halfway through. What did you do? Closed my eyes. Made the rest up. Did they clap? Don't remember. She smiled. But I remember my mother sitting in the front row, mouthing the words along with me. There was a pause. Mira watched her mother's fingers tremble as she held a receipt. Mom. You still remember the words, don't you, to the lullaby? Her mother looked down. Not all of them. I do. The words hung in the room, light as thread. Mira didn't sing them. Just let them sit there. Later, Mira went to the bathroom, pulled the shower curtain closed behind her. Not to shower, just to sit. The acoustics were better in there. The sound stayed close, like someone else was breathing beside her. She sang one verse, then another. She didn't think of applause. Or the boys at school. She thought of her mother's cough, how it sounded sharper at night, how she sometimes tried to hide it by turning up the volume on the old TV. In the middle of the night, Mira woke to the sound of the hallway light buzzing. Her mother wasn't in bed. She found her sitting at the kitchen table, cup of tea gone cold, head resting on one hand. You okay? Mira whispered. Her mother didn't look up right away. Then she said, just couldn't sleep. Mira walked over. She didn't speak, just stood beside her. Her mother placed a hand over hers. Whatever happens at that show, Mira, remember. I'm not doing it to win. Her mother looked at her, eyes tired but kind. I know. That's what worries me. You're doing it for something bigger. Mira didn't answer. She just squeezed her mother's hand once, then turned off the light. The chairs in the music room weren't in rows. They circled the piano in an uneven loop. Someone had taped down a strip of blue masking tape in the middle of the floor. That was the spot. Mira sat in the corner, third from the left. Her knees shook slightly, so she pressed her hands into her lap. The notebook was inside her coat. Names were called one by one. Someone did a stand-up routine. A girl in glitter boots sang a pop song off-key but with confidence. Two boys tried a magic trick that didn't work. The room laughed anyway. No one looked at Mira. When her name was called, it was quiet. The teacher hesitated, squinted at the clipboard. Mira. Song? She stood. No one clapped. A chair creaked somewhere in the back. She walked slowly to the center, stood on the tape. The walls felt closer than they had before. The lights were too white. The teacher asked, "Do you have a backing track?" Mira shook her head. No. A cappella. She nodded. A sigh came from someone sitting against the wall. Another shuffled their feet. Someone else coughed. Mira closed her eyes. Then she sang. When the wind was high, she'd close the window. Tight. Her voice was small, but steady. It moved through the room like steam. Slow, invisible, curling through the spaces between chairs. The room didn't respond at first. No one moved. The teacher had a pen in hand, but didn't write. One of the girls, who had just sung a Broadway number, looked up from her phone. She'd hum a tune and turn off the light. Mira didn't look at them. She didn't think about what her face looked like or how her arms were stiff at her sides. She only thought of her mother's breath, slowing at night. The way she used to sing this song while combing Mira's hair, when there was no money for shampoo. No thunder could shake her. No shadow could stay. A custodian paused in the hallway holding a mop. One of the boys who had laughed the day before leaned forward without realizing it. He didn't smile now. She'd sing soft and low till the fear went away. When the last word left her mouth, Mira kept her eyes closed. Silence. 3 seconds. 4. She opened her eyes slowly. No one was laughing. No one was clapping either. They just stared. The teacher, Mrs. Hallbrook, lowered her pen to the table. Her jaw moved slightly, as if she was about to speak but didn't. She just blinked. A man stood in the doorway. Mira hadn't noticed him before. A substitute teacher, maybe. He wiped the corner of his eye with the sleeve of his sweater, then left. Mira stepped back. Her hands were colder now. She walked to the chair, sat down again. No one said anything. The bull. Next name was called. Another girl walked up. Her shoes clicked too loud on the tile. Mira looked at the floor. That night at home, she didn't talk much. Her mother was resting, eyes closed, a wet towel on her forehead. I sang today. Mira said her mother didn't open her eyes. How did it feel? Like I wasn't there, like someone else sang it. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe. Her mother's hand reached out, found Mira's wrist. If they laugh, she whispered, do you stop? Mira shook her head even though her mother couldn't see. No, she said, I keep singing. Good, her mother said, because the world needs voices that have never been heard. Then they were quiet again. Mira sat beside her. Outside, a siren wailed, then faded. She didn't cry, but she held her mother's hand for a long time. By Monday, people had started talking. Not loud, not in front of her, but just enough. In the lunchroom, someone asked, who was that girl who sang without music? Another replied, the one from the back row. I think she lives near the bus station. Mira didn't react. She sat with her tray, untouched pasta cooling in its plastic dish. Her hands stayed folded in her lap. Across the room, two girls kept glancing over. Not laughing, just looking. One of them mouthed something. Mira didn't try to read lips. That afternoon, a woman knocked on the principal's office door. She wore a long blue coat and a scarf that looked hand-woven. Her shoes were worn at the heels. Is this the school where a student sang during auditions last week? She asked. The secretary looked up. Which student? She didn't use a track. Just sang, no microphone. Oh, Mira, the woman smiled. I'd like to hear her again. The secretary blinked. Are you with the district? No, just a music teacher. Freelance. I work with the community center down on Maple. She left a card. It had a name, Leah Sanders, and a phone. Numbered nothing else. Mira walked home the long way that day. Past the old bakery, the tire shop with the half-broken sign, the fence where neighborhood kids had painted sunflowers years ago. Some of the petals were still visible. She stopped by the corner store, picked up a lemon and a packet of ginger tea. Paid with change she had counted twice the night before. When she got home, her mother was on the couch. The TV was on, but silent. She looked thinner. Not just in the face, everywhere. Hey, Mira said, hey. Her mother didn't sit up. You didn't go in today? Felt dizzy. You should eat. I tried. Mira put the kettle on. Washed the lemon carefully. Sliced it thin. Someone came to school today, she said. Oh? A music teacher. From the community center. Asked to hear me again. Her mother nodded slowly. Then coughed. Mira didn't ask how long the cough had been there. Later that night, Mira sat at the table, copying lyrics into a new notebook. Her old one was full. She didn't know if she'd ever use the new one, but it felt right to have it ready. Her mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed. She was wearing the gray cardigan with the missing button. I'm proud of you, she said. Mira looked up. You haven't even heard me. I've heard enough. I know your voice. She stepped forward, placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. There was a pause. Mira asked, Are you okay? Her mother hesitated, then smiled, but not fully. Of course, but Mira noticed she didn't sit down. She leaned on the counter longer than usual, and when she walked back to bed, her steps were slower, like something was being carried that couldn't be seen. The next morning, Mira found a note by the sink. "Don't forget your scarf. Love you." She folded the note and put it in her pocket. She didn't need the scarf. The air was warm, but she kept it on anyway. In class, the windows were open. Someone played guitar down the hallway. A loose bulletin board flyer fluttered. The wind. Mira read it. Community showcase. Voices from the neighborhood fundraiser for local families in need at the bottom, featuring new talents from Winslow Elementary. She didn't smile, but she traced her finger along the edge of the paper. She had a feeling she knew who they meant. It started raining just after noon, not heavy, just a thin, cold rain that made the sidewalk shine. Mira watched it through the classroom window. The drops slid down in long lines, never stopping. At 3:20, a voice came over the intercom. "Mira Alvarez, please come to the office." No one looked at her as she stood. The nurse had a calm voice, the kind that tried not to scare you. "Your mother had a spell," she said. "At work." "Spell," she fainted. "She's at County General. They're running tests." Mira didn't ask questions, just nodded, took the note and walked. The hospital smelled like metal and old soap. The waiting room chairs were orange and cracked. A TV in the corner played a cooking show with no sound. Mira sat alone for a while. Then a nurse called her name. "Your mom's awake now. Room 4C. The hallway was long. Lights flickered at the far end. Room 4C had one window, rain tapped on it. Her mother looked smaller in the bed, gray sheet up to her chest. Her eyes opened when Mira came in. "Hi, sweetheart, you okay?" "Better now." "You fainted." "I didn't eat enough, I guess." "You say that every time." Her mother didn't answer, just reached for her hand. The machines beeped low and steady. Mira sat in the chair beside the bed, her hands folded in her lap. She didn't cry. She didn't ask why the IV was running, or why her mother's fingers were bruised where they'd drawn blood. It was getting dark. A nurse brought soup. Her mother didn't touch it. Mira stood, walked to the window, and looked out. The city was blurred by the rain. When she turned back, her mother was asleep. She pulled her chair closer, sat, watched the soft rise and fall of her mother's chest. Then, very quietly, she began to sing. When the wind was high, she'd close the window tight. No guitar, no track, no applause. Just Mira's voice almost whispering. The room didn't change. The beeping continued. The soup stayed cold, but something in the air shifted. She'd hum a tune and turn off the light. Her voice wasn't strong. It was thin and tired, but it held. In the hallway, a nurse walking past slowed down. She stopped outside the door, her clipboard pressed to her chest. Inside, Mira kept singing. No thunder could shake her, no shadow could stay. The nurse didn't move. She stood still. Her eyes blinked a few times, then filled. She wiped them quickly, kept listening. She'd sing soft and low till the fear went away. When Mira finished, she sat back. Her mother didn't stir, but her breathing was easier now. The nurse stepped away from the door, walked down the hall. Her shoes made no sound. At home later that night, Mira opened the fridge. There was soup in a plastic container, half full. She didn't eat. She sat by the window instead. The rain hadn't stopped. She took the new notebook from her backpack, wrote just one line. Tuesday, County General, Room 4C. I sang, and someone listened. The auditorium wasn't large. Rows of folding chairs lined the floor. The stage was wooden, scuffed, no curtain. A string of colored lights dangled unevenly across the top. Someone had placed a cardboard sign near the door. Community Showcase, Voices from the Neighborhood. In small print underneath, fundraiser for local families in need. Mira stood near the side exit. Her coat hung loose over her shoulders. She held her notebook with both hands. Backstage, kids were checking microphones. A boy with a keyboard tapped. Outscales, someone's speaker buzzed. "Do you want a mic?" a volunteer asked. Mira shook her head. "Any background music?" "No," the volunteer blinked, then shrugged. "You're up after the dancers." In the front row, Ms. Sanders from the community center sat with her coat draped across her lap. She looked down at a folded program. Mira's name was at the bottom. Mira song a cappella. The dancers finished. The crowd clapped, some louder than others. A toddler in the second row cheered like he understood everything. Then the volunteer took the mic. "And now, a special solo from one of Winslow Elementary's students. Please welcome Mira Alvarez." A few scattered claps. A chair squeaked. Someone coughed. Mira stepped onto the stage. She couldn't see faces. The lights weren't strong, but they were aimed wrong, straight into her eyes. She kept her gaze low, fixed on the floorboards. No instruments, no echo, no one to fill the silence. She took a breath and then sang, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Her voice cracked at the first line. She kept going, "You make me happy when skies are gray." In the back, someone whispered. Then stopped. She didn't push the volume, didn't force it to be more than it was. "You'll never know, dear, how much I love you." She remembered her mother singing this on rainy nights, when the roof dripped and the floor was cold. "Please don't take my sunshine away." Somewhere near the middle rows, Ms. Sanders leaned forward. Her eyes didn't blink for a while. Near the side aisle, a father turned to his daughter. Something caught in his throat. A woman near the door put her phone down. She had been recording but didn't want to anymore. It didn't feel right. On stage, Mira's voice stayed steady, small, but clear. When she finished, there was no cheer, just breath, a beat. Then hands came together, not loud, not choreographed, not forced, just applause. Real Mira stepped back. She didn't bow. She just looked out, though she couldn't see anything. Then walked off stage. Outside, the air was colder than she remembered. The night had stretched long. Ms. Sanders found her near the parking lot. She didn't smile, just nodded. "You sang from some place most people don't go anymore," she said. Mira looked at the ground. "I don't want anything," she said, quietly. "I just want my mom to get better." Ms. Sanders placed a hand on her shoulder. "We're going to try," she said. The video was taken on a phone, shaky, slightly out of focus. Someone had recorded from the fourth row, holding the device low so no one would see. It started with a quiet stage and a girl in a worn jacket. Then the song. No music, no effects, just a voice. By Tuesday morning, the clip had been shared 3,000 times. A local parent had posted it to the community board. Then it showed up on a blog, then on the page of a music teacher in Austin. Comments trickled in. "She reminds me of my daughter. I haven't cried like this in years. This isn't performance. It's something else." Mira didn't know any of this. She was at school, copying down notes from the whiteboard, thinking about which hospital bus route was faster, wondering if the tea at home had gone bad. That afternoon, the principal called her into the office. "Mira, there's someone here who wants to meet you," she said. A woman in a brown coat stood near the bookshelf. She introduced herself, Ms. Kessler, from the Emerson Youth Music Initiative. She had printed the program from Saturday night and folded it in quarters. "We heard about the performance," she said. "We'd like to invite you to an audition for our summer program." Mira looked at her hands. "It's fully covered," the woman added. "Lodging, meals, everything." Mira didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Is it just for me?" Ms. Kessler paused. "The invitation is." Mira shook her head. "I can't." The woman leaned forward. "Why not?" Mira didn't cry. She just said, "My mother's sick. I can't leave unless someone helps her." Silence. Then Ms. Kessler said, "Let me make a call." That evening the apartment was quiet. Mira placed the tea carefully on the side table. Her mother hadn't eaten much that day. "I got invited," she said softly. Her mother blinked. "Invited where?" "A music thing for kids, a summer thing." Her mother smiled faintly. "You should go." "I told them no." Her mother frowned. "Why?" "I said I wouldn't leave unless someone helps you." The room felt full, even with just the two of them. Then, slowly, her mother said, "Sometimes the only way to help someone is to take the door they can't open anymore." Mira didn't speak. She just picked up her mother's hand and held it. 2 days later, a letter came. It was short. To Mira Alvarez, "We are aware of your situation and deeply moved by your voice. One of our donors has offered to cover medical assistance for your mother while you attend our program. No strings, no fine print. We hope you'll accept." The Emerson Youth Music Initiative. At the bottom, a handwritten note. She sang like she meant every word. That's rare. Mira folded the letter 3 times, placed it next to the stove under the magnet shaped like a sun. That night, rain came again. Mira sat by the window, the notebook open on her lap. She didn't sing, just traced her finger over the lyrics. This time, the silence wasn't heavy. It was full. The window in room 4C was open a crack. The breeze pushed the curtain in and out, slow as breath. Mira sat in the chair beside the bed. Her backpack rested under her feet. She hadn't said much that morning, neither had her mother. The machines beeped. The IV dripped. Outside, a food cart rolled by, its wheels squeaking faintly. Mira looked over. Her mother's eyes were open now, clearer than the day before. "You're up," Mira said. Her mother nodded. Her lips were dry, cracked at the edges. "You were talking in your sleep," Mira said. "About what?" "Someone named Clara and soup." Her mother smiled. "Must have been a good dream." Mira held out the cup of water. Her mother took a sip, slow. Then gently, Mira said, "The school sent something, a letter." Her mother's hands paused. "It's official," Mira added. "The scholarship, the program, starts in June." Silence. "You'll go," her mother said. "I'll think about it." "No," her mother said, stronger now. "You'll go." At home that night, the apartment felt both familiar and strange. Mira set her backpack down, took the letter from the inside pocket. It was soft from being handled too much. The corners bent. She read it again. "Dear Mira Alvarez, we are honored to offer you full admission to the Emerson Youth Music Program beginning this summer. Your voice moved us deeply, not because it was flawless, but because it was real. All costs will be covered. Travel arrangements enclosed. With admiration." The Emerson board attached was a smaller note. "We don't train perfect voices. We listen for honest ones." Mira placed the letter on the windowsill. The wind caught the edge slightly. It fluttered, as if it wanted to fly. She left it there. The next day, her mother sat at the table for the first time in a week, a blanket over her shoulders. She sipped tea with both hands. Mira cooked eggs. They were slightly overdone. Neither mentioned it. After a while, Mira said, "Why'd you stop singing?" Her mother stared into her cup. "After you were born, it didn't feel like mine anymore. My voice, I mean." Mira waited. "But watching you sing," her mother added, "I heard it again. Like it never left, just found a better home." Mira didn't know what to say, so she didn't. She sat across from her mother, listened to the clock tick, then said, "Do you think you'll be okay while I'm gone?" Her mother looked up, smiled. "I already am." That evening they stood by the window together. The sun was setting, though clouds still hung low. Mira opened the notebook. Not to write, just to hold it. Her mother leaned her head gently against Mira's. "Sing something," she said. Mira didn't ask what. She just began. Not loud. Not for anyone else. Just enough for two people to hear. And the letter, still on the sill, lifted slightly, then settled. The studio lights were low but warm. The cameras didn't make noise. Neither did the audience. Mira sat across from the host. She wore a plain black dress, no jewelry, no makeup, except a little around the eyes, enough to keep the light from washing her out. The host smiled, asked about her latest album, about the concert in Chicago, about the children's choir she had started in El Paso. Mira answered, quiet but sure. Then came the question. "You've had an extraordinary journey, Mira. Can you tell us the moment that changed everything for you?" Mira didn't speak right. Away. She looked down at her hands. One of them held a folded paper. She didn't unfold it. Instead, she said, "It was in a room. Years ago, not a big one. Plastic chairs, fluorescent lights." She paused. "I had just finished singing. The first time I ever sang in front of people." The host nodded. There was no music. Just me. My voice wasn't strong. Not then, but I meant it. She looked up. When I finished, no one clapped. Not right away. I thought maybe I'd done something wrong. Maybe I'd broken something by speaking out loud. Her voice stayed even. But then I saw her. Back then it was spring. The auditorium smelled like floor polish and something sweet. Balloons, maybe. The chairs were full. Someone had taped paper stars to the stage edge. Mira had stood still after the song. Her hands were stiff. She didn't know what to do next. Then, in the third row, by the aisle, someone stood up. Just one person. She didn't clap. She didn't wave. She just stood. One hand pressed to her heart. It was Mira's mother, hair still damp from the bakery, shirt wrinkled. But her eyes didn't waver, and in that stillness, something broke open. Not in fear, but in clarity. It wasn't about the applause, or the school, or the lights. It was about being seen, being heard, being loved without needing to earn it. Back in the studio, Mira looked at the host. "I think everyone wants to be seen once like that. Fully, quietly, with no condition." The host didn't interrupt. "I've sung on big stages since then," Mira said. "I've sung for thousands, but no moment ever echoed like that one." She folded the paper in her hand tighter. "Sometimes the loudest song you ever sing. Only one person hears it, but they hear it with their whole life." The lights didn't flicker. No applause sign blinked, but a few people in the room wiped their eyes. Mira didn't notice. She was looking just above the lens, past the studio, past the years. And somewhere in her mind her mother stood again, just standing. And the last note still lingered. "Thank you for staying until the very end of the song behind the curtain." This was never just a story about a girl who could sing. It was about a heart that dared to be heard when the world stayed quiet. Mira didn't win with lights or praise. She won with something much stronger, A mother's quiet love, worn but unshaken. A voice that wasn't loud but true. And maybe that's what we all need. One person standing up in silence just to listen. Fully, honestly, without condition. If this story reminded you of someone who believed in you even once, hold on to that feeling. Share it, because sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to stand still and hear someone's song all the way through.